Hello, welcome back to Empodérate here at Chicanos por la Causa. Maria, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Still celebrating our third anniversary and really excited about everything and that has happened. And it just gives you an opportunity to reflect all the episodes, all the engagement, the opportunities, the advice, the stories, the fun times that we had. It's really amazing to share this space with everyday community leaders.
Exactly, and I think it's really cool to kind of reflect the last 3 years. We've had a range of guests, and I think that that's what is my favorite part about Empoderate, that, we don't just have one type of person always coming on, and we always have a lot of fun as we shoot these as well.
Absolutely. And one of our guests that we had it on the list for a while. She is a fan and we are a fan of hers. And so it just makes for a perfect opportunity to be able to just share a space and time.
Exactly. So no further ado, Andrea, how are you today?
I'm well. I'm really excited to be here. I love the podcast. I've been watching it since it started.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. And we were watching your creations for a very long time. We were just talking about, Valeria was talking about all the community connections that we already had with our networks, our friends, our past guests, and also with Chicanos por la Causa as well. But before we get there, let's start from the beginning and tell us about your family. Where did you grow up? Did you grow up here in the Phoenix area?
So I'm born and raised in Arizona. I grew up in Mesa. I was raised a lot back and forth from Mesa to Gilbert. I went to school in Gilbert, and I went there all the way from K till I graduated, and I even went to Chandler Gilbert Community College.
Chandler, really? That's awesome. I graduated from Chandler High.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wolves.
Yeah.
A long time ago. And I was going to go to Chandler Gilbert, but I moved back to Phoenix, so I went to PC, Phoenix College.
Yeah. And then 18 to 21, it's kind of like a blur. I just worked a lot of customer service jobs. I didn't really wanted to pursue college. I didn't really like the institution setup personally.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to figure out some life experiences, and that's working. And I moved all over Arizona. I moved to Anthem. I moved to Scottsdale for a little bit. And I moved to Chandler, but initially I've always wanted to try Phoenix. I always loved going to First Friday growing up in high school.
Yeah.
It was always like that thing, like, oh, we're going to the big bad city, like, let's get into some trouble tonight, or, let's just see what fun we can get into. And so I eventually, was drawn here 8 years ago when I moved to Phoenix. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow, and I loved going to First Friday. Unfortunately, they closed them down, but it gave Phoenix the big city vibe that I feel like people think it has, from like the outside, because obviously like living here, it's obviously a little different. I feel like even if you're like in Phoenix, like there's always those little corners where you can create your own little world, which is super duper nice. And you have your shop kind of basically in the heart of downtown as well.
Right. I still feel like I'm in the outskirts because like there's associations like downtown Phoenix that won't add me in their location or directory because I'm too far from Central, but that's okay. But
You're 2 blocks away from
right?
7th Avenue, which 7th Avenue
Exactly.
is still Central Phoenix. But
yeah.
anyway.
I
We know-
mean, it's expensive real estate to have a small
yes.
business, and the developers are just insane in downtown. So I do what works for me.
So I think we talked about before, and certainly off camera, about the role that family has had in you developing your own business, and then also your background in culture. How did that got started?
So I grew up with a single mom. My dad, unfortunately, was addicted and still to this day has struggled with addiction. So he was incarcerated for the majority of my life, even up till today. And so my mom was always working really hard, tirelessly. And then I would be, I'd have to be watched by my grandmothers a lot of the time. And so my grandmothers were always accessorizing. My one abuelita, my mom's mom, loved JCPenney's, loved her cheap earrings, and they would break all the time, but she'd still save them. And so my other abuelita, my dad's mom, I'd be watched by her a lot of time after school, and she learned jewelry making. She learned how to make bracelets. And so one day she showed me how to make a bracelet, and I was just hooked from there. I was obsessed with creating and making things. I've also dabbled into like jewelry design and painting and things like that, but nothing stood quite like making jewelry.
What is it about every time that you get to use your hands to create your own masterpiece? What is the process like? Do you have a design in mind already before you get started? And while you're doing that, do you listen to music? What is the surroundings like?
What I started versus like where I am now, the process has changed over time. So like I'm going to talk about first when I was a kid. Being in Arizona, the summers are hot. It's 112 out. So like I couldn't necessarily go outside a lot of the time. So yeah, I'd be inside either playing video games or sharing a room with my sister, and she'd be listening to punk rock or rock music, and I'd be just in my own little world on my bed playing with my beads. And so it started like that, and then eventually evolving into time has passed and I was working a lot and I had put off making jewelry until I went to a market and I was inspired by people making and selling what they made. And so I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I want to try this again. And not knowing that a business was in the forefront, like not at all in my head. Like it wasn't there yet. So I just went back into it. I started with clay, and it's still the same process. Like I still like to put on background music. I still like to put on movies and just kind of go to town. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And I know that we were talking a little bit again off camera too. How is that like you have created your own designs, kind of your own touch, and it took years to create kind of the Andria touch, as you would, as one would say.
Yeah. Well, I mainly got into it too because I didn't see jewelry for me. I wasn't going to wait around for somebody to create jewelry for me. And so I looked up to strong women in my family wearing jewelry, wearing hoops, wearing certain styles, like whether it be roses or whether it be just, little tiny aretas. It was just always something that designs that I have right now are something that I want to see more of. And a lot of it developed through custom orders. Customers and clients coming back to me and asking me like, hey, can you do this? Hey, how about this? Or I really love this. And so I've been in business for 7 years. So it took time to really see what people wanted, the demand. And it just kind of, not that it made itself up, but I feel like I'm just where I'm at now because of that insight.
Wow. And what has been maybe like your favorite piece that you've made throughout these 7 years?
All of them. All of them are my favorite pieces because I wouldn't make something that I wouldn't wear or that I'm not proud of.
I love that. And that really, I think it's what connect a lot of our shoppers going to markets or to stores where you have the opportunity to really engage with the designer, with the owner, because that really comes out, that pride in the work that you're doing, but also the uniqueness of the piece that you're taking with you because of the connection that that person had to that piece. And you're proud to own it, and you are really rejoicing having that opportunity to be able to connect. I'm like, every single design is your baby. And so it's awesome to be able to have all the connection with so many shoppers around.
Absolutely. And trust me, it's built my, if I had a piggy bank and I had coins for my self-confidence, every time someone bought something from me, I'm just adding to that piggy bank because, yes, it feels really good because I am creating and showing up authentically. And when people recognize that and love that, it feels really amazing.
Yeah, and you don't just create jewelry too. You kind of also create a space as well in your tiendita. You were telling me, I think really the first time that we met that you kind of were hosting, what was it, like a bracelet making, like little workshop for people, and follow you on Instagram, and you do a lot of other things too, like little paint nights and stuff. So how important is it to create kind of that little space?
For me, there was a switch in my time period of being a local business owner. I wanted to take it seriously. I wanted this to be my career, and I wanted to, quit everything else that I was doing on the side and just focus on this. And so that was around the time when I signed my first lease. And so that was about 3 years ago. And then I wanted to open up the floor, not just for my jewelry. I didn't want it to just make it about me. I also wanted to see things that I didn't see represented enough in retail here in Arizona. We're so close to Mexico, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm really proud to be Mexicana. And so throughout the years, I've traveled to California, and I've seen other businesses there flourish, and I just wish we had something similar to that here. Not necessarily a collective, but more of a flow retail space where like I have shared experiences with the community where I can offer very intentional workshops, a Selena night, a Frida night, or a Day of the Dead bracelet making workshop. Like I want it to be very intentional and also just to create safer experiences within community.
So you've been in business for 7 years. So that means that you started around the pandemic.
2019.
2019, right before.
Right before, yeah.
Do you have, going through that process that the entire world did and how it impacted business owners for sure. They learned to pivot, and there were other situations also that surrounded that time. Is there a particular lesson that you feel that you would tell that business owner that was starting in 2019, and what have you learned today, 7 years later?
I was in the beginning of my business, and not that there's different stages in your business where it's easier or harder. It's always going to be hard. But I feel like because it was the beginning stages, I wasn't necessarily fully in it. Also, I was going through a terrible relationship, and I also lost my grandmother. And so there was different things that were, shifting my energy elsewhere. But my business was always there. Making jewelry was always there as a sort of therapy to get through it. So I feel like there's always going to be some kind of curveball. Just continue to just be consistent. And we all have 24 hours in a day. If you couldn't get to it today, get to it the next day. But also have a plan and strategy in place. Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself going? And that's really important to kind of lay that foundation down for yourself.
The business plan, then. That was really amazing.
Yeah, and so, it seems as though, like, what is it called? Jewelry making is kind of your escape from reality. Is there maybe something else that you really like to do that kind of makes you kind of escape a little bit?
Now, honestly, it's just coloring, like filling in the lines. I have so many things to do all the time, every day. But for me, and what I find like relaxation in is not doom scrolling, not watching TV. I don't want anything in my head. So I just be filling in colors, just filling in the blanks. I don't want to draw something. I just want to, color, really.
Are you more of like a childhood, like super easy coloring, or are you more of like the adult, really kind of hard kind of coloring?
Well, my boyfriend did buy me this book, and it's like a memory. It has puzzles. It's got Sudoku. It has some coloring pages in there. And so there are some crazy designs, and then there's just some like big spaces where I can just like go, and have fun with. So it's just depends.
Okay, very cool. And do you ever because I know a lot of people too are like into that digital like painting and stuff, or is it more just kind of like old school, also too, very controversial question. Crayons or
markers?
Or markers.
For me, it's gel pens. I grew up in the 90s, so I've always
glide.
Yeah, they glide. And then if you do glitter, all that glitter is going to get right here. So for me, it's kind of just what I had. I started junk journaling last year, and it's just what I had. If I don't need to buy it, I won't. If it's already there, I'll use it. So I guess if I had, something particular that I do like gel pens. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. I like gel pens too, like growing up, but I feel like after time they would get a little what is it called? Diminish a little bit.
They would dry up.
Yeah.
And then you got to open it up and blow in it.
Yeah.
And then put it back in its case.
Put a little bit of alcohol.
Yeah. Just keep going. Maybe lean it, vertical for a little bit.
So the ink will come down.
Yeah.
How do you think the landscape for women entrepreneurs have changed in Arizona since you started certainly for not only general women entrepreneurs, but certainly those that are taking their culture along with them, like you've seen in California?
That's kind of a hard question because I never really noticed it until I myself wanted to take this journey, learn a little bit more about entrepreneurship and really understanding like it is harder for women. It's harder for us to not get emotional when it comes to business and all these other stereotypes that we have to deal with in society. So that's a hard question because I've never been the type to feel like there's nothing I can't do. And so taking on entrepreneurship, it was just one of those things that I was looking forward to, the challenge. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And no, go.
It's a fashion question. When you are looking at designs that are tied to some traditional looks, are there any modern designs that that are able to incorporate into traditional? What is more popular right now for you?
Well, I do like to listen to my clients when they do have suggestions or when I see something that I make and they snatch it up and I just can't make enough of them. For example, the Corazón Sangrado necklaces that I make, every time I make one, someone always buys it. I can't make enough of them. And so beautiful. I feel like, thank you. I feel like, this is a need that my community wants from me and I'm going to keep fulfilling it as long as they want it. So for me, I like to look at the history of jewelry, why we wear what we wear, what materials come from where. And I do like to source as best as I can, source ethically if I can. And so when it comes to trends are always going to be changing. So my perspective on jewelry and in fashion is that I show up authentically, my designs show up authentically, and me personally, I want to create designs that will surpass trends. And so that can be very difficult to do because now I see a lot of gold plated and that's perfectly fine. Gold plated and gold jewelry has always been a thing, but it's now more than ever the simplicity, the more mass produced designs that I see over and over and over again. Right now what's trending is fish and I don't understand why. But there's just fishes on like every wholesale bead shop that I go to. And I'm just like, what is the meaning of this fish? Like, what is the symbolism in this fish? But yeah, it's kind of a difficult thing that I have to incorporate or not incorporate. It's really up to me at the end of the day.
I don't think I've ever seen the fish.
Okay.
And,
I had a necklace that I bought in Barcelona that had a fish, but I think it was near a beach, so
that would make sense.
I think it made more sense. But in Arizona, well, I guess Puerto Peñasco is 3 hours away. I don't know. Yeah. Or I mean, we have lakes, and obviously people fish. I feel this is more of an East Coast many times that if you think of summer, you think of the harbor.
True.
And so, and with that, sometimes fish comes in and they're taking over, I guess.
In summertime, I love to work with seashell, mother of pearl.
Oh, yeah.
I do like to work with those elements.
I'll say, and well, talking about all these fashion trends and everything, how do you stay kind of like artistically, in a sense, like motivated and just kind of like able to think outside of the box a little bit sometimes?
Well, I do fall in love with materials. When I go to a trade show, when I go to a wholesale bead shop, I do just like get overwhelmed and overstimulated with all the different options. And so I go back to my customer in mind, me, and also women that have been supporting me and buying for me throughout the years. I think of what would Vero want? What would Diana want? What would Debra want? And so that's what motivates me. I'm like, yes, it's kind of like walking in a candy shop. It's like, yes, I want to do all of these, but no, I need to be intentional and I need to just be focused. And that's just kind of like opening up your why as a small business owner. Like, why are you here? Why are you starting? And, what keeps you going?
And what keeps you going?
For me, it's my abuelita. Like, I know she was proud when she passed away of me and what I was doing, but it's also just a way for me to connect with my family And I really love doing it. You know, it's something, jewelry making is what I love to do. And also supporting my community is something that I love to do. And so having my tienda and having it open for not just me to flourish, but I have 27 other brands in there, local and out of state. And so it's important for me to make sure they have a space too.
Where did your abuelita learn to bead?
My abuelita, she worked. Both of them worked really, really hard. They both retired. One bought a house. My mom's mom was actually born in Spain. And so my tata, he was born and raised here in Superior. My tata Chema, my great-grandfather, they migrated from Cananea, Mexico, a mining town to another mining town. So I have some copper in my blood. But my tata...
Copper and silver.
Yes, exactly. But my tata, like being raised in Superior and in that town, he didn't want, you know, to be a miner. He didn't want that. So he joined the army and then he went to college. But when he was enlisted, he went to Spain. And that's when he met my abuelita.
Oh, wow. What part of Spain do you know?
Yes.
Is it the northern, southern part?
It's a small town. And she was actually born on the way as they were traveling.
Yeah.
So,
because I love the southern part of Sevilla. They're really, it's really a fun
It was by Sevilla, but it was a
place.
more smaller town.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Mariglia? No.
Andalusia, I think there is a larger
It might have been
part.
Sevilla. It might have been Sevilla, but I remember my mom saying it was a smaller town outside of there because they were traveling to go to the beach. And
Yeah.
my abuelita just couldn't wait to get into the world. So my mom was actually born on a military base in Germany.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then they got married in a Catholic church, and then they eventually moved to Chandler, Arizona.
Oh, wow. What an
Yeah.
interesting family journey.
So I love learning about my family history. I love learning about, you know, what they did, what they liked doing. And both my grandparents were very artistic. They couldn't hone into it. They obviously had to provide for their family and work. So my abuelita, she actually retired from Motorola.
Oh, wow. They're in Chandler. That's where you used to be.
Yeah,
That's-
and I really look up to my abuelita because she lived the American dream. They did divorce. My abuelita did have to raise 3 kids on her own. She still worked really hard, and she had a thick Spanish accent. And she was very religious. She joined a congregation here and found, you know, a lot of good Spanish speaker friends, a lot of Mexicans, but she was very distinct. She's like, I'm not Mexicana. I'm not, you know.
Soy de la madre patria.
Yes. And so she bought a house and she paid it off. And to me, that was the American dream. And so I really idolize that about her.
Absolutely. That's so fantastic. It's interesting the different connections that we have through culture in so many different ways. But urinal making has been around for so long, and how it ties to different parts of our lives. My mom also was a single mom, and she took a yearly class. It was a part of, I believe, a government program to help them become more self-sufficient and maybe start selling something. And I still have a necklace she made at the time. And I was like, and speaking of, you know, the things that mean so much because of who and how it was made. And so that's why I appreciate when, you know, owners share about their process and their connection to what they are so proud of, which is what they make.
Right. And my abuelita's mom was actually a seamstress. She had a shop and she would do repairs. And my abuelita, at one point, when she was younger, she was a flamenco dancer. So she would make all these beautiful dresses for her. Yeah.
I was just looking, I think that they had, and the reason I asked because I was looking at some videos and they had, I think, unas fiestas, I forget what they call them, in Sevilla. And so they dressed up for like 3 days, La Feria, there's something, I forget what it's called. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is so amazing. The food and
With the
just
veil and the type of combs they would have.
And the flowers on the top. Yeah, it's really awesome that, that those traditions are still alive. And shared through so many ways, right?
Yeah.
That you're only making.
And even my grandfather, he was very artistic. He loved drawing. But when he went to college, he was an X-ray tech. He graduated and then went to school and was he lived in California. He moved, actually. So I grew up going to California throughout my life. And my mom would be like, let's get out of the valley, because he lived in Lancaster in the middle of nowhere. She's like, let's go to the city. Let's go to Hollywood. Let's go to Malibu. You know, let's explore a little bit. And so that was always fun to see something different versus here growing up. It's two different cultures, really, in itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how do you blend both of those cultures, you know, your Spanish culture and then like your Mexican culture as well, into not just your everyday life, or not just your jewelry life, but also your everyday life?
Just me representing who I am. I'm very confident about who I am, and I cherish both. And I try my best to look at both as their own separate things, but to, at the end of the day, both value them equally.
I know they're all very important to do, all the pieces, but is there any heirloom or anything or any other piece that you made that has a really special part in your heart? Is the piece that you would definitely will grab, either if your house was on fire, you need to grab one last thing, what would that be?
Yeah, all my silver, first of all. All my silver jewelry, because that's one thing too. Precious metals are just very valuable in itself. I'm trying to think specifically. I'm usually wearing them. To me, when I look at jewelry and how I feel about jewelry, is I'm adoring myself. So I do take it off at night, and I do put it on in the morning. So I would go straight to where, if my house is on fire, go straight to like where my jewelry is and grab it all. But a lot of them are meaningful because I grew up with not a lot of money. So when I did have to spend money on something, it's very intentional and it means a lot to me. And so I would say there's about maybe 5 or 10 pieces that I really do cherish. 2 of which that I really, really cherish because my boyfriend made them.
Oh, wow.
I asked him for my birthday if we can go and take a
Rings.
jewelry smith workshop together, and he did.
Oh,
And
that's
so he made these 2 for
awesome.
me.
They're
Yeah.
beautiful, white and
Yeah.
black.
I was like, he really stuck it out.
Yeah, I remember you told me
Yeah.
that's where it was. It was in Quartzsite.
No, it was in Gilbert.
It was in
It's
Gilbert.
called Gem Studios in San Mall.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you telling me, like, I think it had just recently happened, your birthday.
Oh, it was probably, a couple years ago. No, last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
You were telling me, and I was like, oh, that is so cool, you know. How was that, kind of seeing your boyfriend kind of do something that you love?
I love how patient he is because for me, I would have been frustrated. Like, he learned what I learned in 6 hours. It took me 2 years to learn. And so it was really beautiful to see him enjoy it. And also, like, he gets to see what I enjoy. So that was a really special moment that we got to share together.
That is beautiful.
I recommend everyone doing it. Doing something that the other person loves, whether it's like artistic or not, like, do it together. Yeah. And that can be, you know, with friends or family, you know, siblings.
That's a really good point. As a longtime fan of Empoderate, what does Empoderate mean to you?
To me, to empower yourself, it took me a long time to realize, talk nicely to myself, to build my self-confidence by showing up authentically, and to really, truly value and love yourself.
I love that. Yes, we need to learn to be kinder to ourselves because we don't do that enough.
Yeah. And how can you maybe be kinder to yourself in a sense, as an entrepreneur, you know, that, you know, you have to, you know, be dedicated to the hustle, but also, you know, give yourself a little space of, you know, kind of decompressing.
Yeah. No, there was a time where I was in a very unhealthy relationship and I was still having my business. I still had to show up for my business. I still had to be, you know, upbeat and approach clients that didn't know what was happening in the back end. And so what I did is I looked at positive affirmations. I read books. I also listened to YouTube videos and just made it, you know, a ritual in the morning and at night, feeding myself. Even though I couldn't do it for myself, I listened to somebody who said positive affirmations to myself. And that really brought me into the light. It brought me out of a really dark place.
That makes sense. Yeah, you have to invest and find what works for you. And yeah, it's incredible. Even in the thank you journals too. What, you know, a little step or little few moments for you can really make a difference in your life. What's one thing about you that most people would be surprised to learn?
Probably the jobs I had prior to this. I know people are meeting me and seeing only this, but I was a house cleaner prior to this. I was a server. I worked for small businesses as well. And then I also worked at Salad and Go. I know it's pretty random fact, but unless you worked with me at Salad and Go, you didn't know this about me. So I've always worked hard. I've always had a very strong work ethic. And when I found myself not being appreciated enough, that they're just like, oh, they don't recognize what I did or went out of my way to do something, I realized I was like, maybe I should try entrepreneurship. Maybe I should work for myself. And that's kind of the drive that I have to this day, is that when I worked with other people, I always outworked them on accident. It wasn't intentional. I just felt very valued at the end of the day, that I knew I did a good job and I did a great job. And, life's a journey.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that people don't really know, is that I worked at Salad and Go for 2 years. That's where I learned how to be a manager. I was assistant manager when I left, and I just raised, every ladder that they had until I couldn't. The next step was to be a store manager, and I didn't want that really. And so I, started something else.
And the owner of your own store.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got
Here
a good promotion.
Yeah.
And what's a piece of advice that maybe you'd want to tell somebody that's maybe scared to start their own business?
Find another job in that particular industry. I know Kathy, Crafty Chica, she said the same thing, and it's very true. I was Kathy's first employee when she had Mucho Mas.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so I love that store, and I was sad to see it go. And so my tiendita is kind of the inspiration behind that. But same thing, I'm, doing as I'm recommending, is that I would go and do whatever I thought I wanted to do, and to see if it really was for me.
Wow, that is very cool. And we were talking about earlier in the episode, the community connections, not even more the community connections. Kathy was the first, yes, I believe Kathy was the first guest on this last season that we've been having. So I think that's kind of very cool as well. I love when guests know each other, and I'm like, oh, that's very cool.
I know Kathy, I know Yasmin, I know Alicia. There was another one. Yeah, I know the majority of them that were on here.
Yeah.
Letty,
Esmeralda, I know too. Who else were you talking about? I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah, those ones mainly.
Very cool.
And I love what you said about Kathy, and not only the connections, but I love how are we talking about as a community in general, right? That you guys continue to build on each other's success and continue to build and provide more visibility to the new Latina leaders and how to bring others along with you. But also not repeat some of or eliminate some of the barriers that those had before you.
Right. One thing. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah.
One thing I'm really grateful for is that I don't have very many haters. At least they don't make themselves known. But, what was I going with that? I feel like it is very much community over competition, and even when I see other jewelry designers, like if I am hosting a market, I'm not going to say no jewelry designers. No, everyone has their own view on jewelry. Everyone has their own story, and everyone deserves that opportunity like I did to come up, And so I do feel like it's a tight knit here in Phoenix. It's very small, and it's kind of better that way, because that way we can mention each other's names in closed doors, and we can just, offer a good referral when it's needed.
I think community is one of the strongest things that we have. As you said, like referrals, word of mouth is very, very big. it seems as though like Phoenix is a big city, but a really small city as well. Everybody knows everybody. I think in earlier episodes we were talking about the 7 degrees of separation, which at this point I'm like, nah, that's like 3 degrees of separation because it is so crazy how many people know everybody. And before I came back to Phoenix, I was like, I want to go back to Phoenix. Like, it's a big town. Like, not that nobody knows everybody, but it's like, it's gonna be, nobody's gonna know anybody. And like, but I'll name drop somebody and they're like, oh yeah, like I know them. And I'm like, wait, how do you know them? And it's a completely different way. So it's very cool that, you don't just create that space, but you kind of elevate other jewelry makers as well. Because everybody has a different taste.
Because I look at it on my own journey. If somebody, I've had closed doors, and so I don't want that for the next generation or the next person behind me. It's not who I am.
And that's why we need to support Andria's tienda and all the business leaders in the valley and that make their own crafts and representative of our culture for certainly bringing their backgrounds along with them every time we go. I know that it's been only 7 years, and you are young. Have you ever thought about what legacy means to you, or what would that look like for you? What would you like to leave behind?
Well, I truly feel like what I'm doing, whether I inspire people or not, I truly feel like my tiendita is an act of defiance. With everything that's going on right now, I grew up with SB 1070, and things are returning back to mass deportations, which is very harmful towards our community members. And so I feel like the legacy, I'm already building it right now. I'm already building a space where I want Mexicana culture to thrive in.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. That's amazing. I love it. An act of defiance, becoming a successful business owner. I love it. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for following us and supporting this space. So to highlight everyday community leaders such as yourself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for allowing me on. It was such a beautiful experience. I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you. We'll see you right back here next on Empoderate.